George Hodges sent me a couple of these. He and I have gotten to know each other, and he wanted to send me some duplicates, so I'm assuming there's a couple of these hanging out back east somewhere. Near as I can tell, they were produced 1974 to 1977, and as an ecumenical destroyer, I want to turn one of them back into a regular Olds Cutlass, so stick around. I decided to do the fire vehicle, not so much because I worked in a police department, but I thought the wheels were in a little better shape, and there was some bodywork issues that I felt really needed to be addressed on this one that weren't so prevalent on the other. I don't know if I'll do anything with the other one or not, but if you look right above the rear bumper, you'll see that there's a little bit of a bend there that is going to need to be straightened out. Other than that, I thought it was a really nice casting. I don't know why Hot Wheels chose to make an emergency vehicle out of it. I don't think it's really the right car to do that with. And so, yeah, I'm going to make it into something completely different. The toy had a plastic base that was held to a metal chassis by two mushroomed over posts that needed to be drilled out. After the car was in pieces, I was a little concerned that these posts might be kind of thin and that I might have to assemble it with epoxy later, but I'm sure going to give it a try, drilling it out and tapping it. And I think I succeeded here in getting a button screw installed. And then with a grinding bit on my rotary tool, I'm smoothing off. I'm going to smooth off the burrs so that they can get together fairly easily. And then clean up with a wire brush. I don't know why I didn't record the removal of the paint. I didn't. Then I need to cut this stuff off the roof of the car. And I'm just using a cutting wheel here. And I'm using the edge of it as a grinder, and when needed I'm using the flat side of it. These are pretty brittle and oftentimes they'll break. Plus, you don't want to gouge too deep, so you kind of have to be careful while you're doing this. But with a little patience, you can get the stuff off that you need to get off without putting a hole anywhere. A proper surface is important, so you do want to do some wet sanding to it before you go about the process of trying to fill that hole. Now, there's a lot of ways that you can fill it. There's putties and other things that are available. I've always just used good old epoxy. I'll put a piece of tape on the backside and mix my epoxy and use it as a body filler here. So I'm going to try to do a couple of things here. One, I'm going to fill the hole, and then I'm going to spread the epoxy around a little bit to try to fill some of the scratches. And then it's just a process of wet sanding, followed by priming, followed by wet sanding, followed by priming. You put the primer on because it shows you where all of your repairs need to be made. And then once you have figured that part out, you go back and you wet sand some more. And then you get to prime some more. And eventually, with all that wet sanding and all that priming, you wind up with something that looks kind of like this. Now this still needs some work in a couple of places, which I did, but I don't need to show you me sanding and priming any more than I already have. I had a lot of great suggestions for what color to paint this, and then I had ordered some paint, and in the paint I ordered I had this copper, and I had never really worked with it before, and I was painting and I wound up with a run, and the more I tried to fix it, the worse it got. And I wound up stripping the paint off, which took the hole out of the roof, which meant that I kind of had to start all over. And wet sand and wet sand and wet sand. Until I got it back to the point where I could paint it again. And this time, I'm going to paint it a little more carefully. I really like the color, though. Here I put on a tack coat, like I always do. And then successively heavier coats until I get the look that I'm hoping for anyway. I think this is a really pretty color. Never throw anything away. Not unless it's really garbage. I had a decal sheet from a model that I did, and I've actually used some of the decals already. But in it were big, wide, black stripes. Now, a lot of the pictures that I see of this car in real life, the tops of these hood scoops are black or white or some other contrasting color. These I cut myself. Just to put on the top of these hood scoops. You know, decals, it's a fiddly business, but I was afraid to tape off this paint. It had kind of a different surface to it, and I was afraid that if I put tape on it, that it would take paint off when I took the tape off, and I've had that happen before. It's very frustrating. And I'm even using, like, Tamiya masking tape. So when I had the opportunity to create my own decals for this, that seemed like the wiser course. It is. It's so fiddly. But I think in the last analysis, the end result is so much better. I'll get it. One point I think I just, took the whole thing off. Take it off, the little hair on there, and try again. Once I get these in place, I'll go over them with microset to help set the decal. I was really happy with those. I thought they turned out pretty nice. And of course, a nice healthy coat of Tamiya X22 to seal those decals in and give that paint a great finish. I don't even use aerosol clear coats anymore. All I use is Tamiya X22. And then this glass. I've been waiting for several weeks to do this. Cut that top off. The glass itself was pretty clean. So for me, it was just a matter of some cleanup with Novus. There was some fine scratches here and there, but nothing too earth-shattering that a little polish won't clear up. Then the chrome pen, front and rear bumper, they're plastic and they were worn all the way down to the white plastic underneath. So I want to give it a little bit of a facelift. And I decided to touch up the Hot Wheels rims. I'm just going to use the regular Redline tires that were on it. And just need to touch up the chrome a little bit. And that's a tire wash, and I use it on grills a lot to give them some depth and definition. I think that this car looks much better for it. I usually have to clean up a little bit with a Q-tip. It's pretty thin, so it soaks it right off of those areas. And then some Tamiya Clear Red. I contemplated using a Sharpie. It's not that I'm trying to be highbrow. Just this is where I wound up. Reassembly of the model was pretty straightforward. I did it off camera. And so let's go back and take a look at where it was that we started with this Hot Wheels Fire Chief's car. Boy, I tell you, if I was a fire chief and I got to drive that car around all the time, I'd probably never be in the office. At any rate, let's see where we wound up. So this is the Hot Wheels 1970 Oldsmobile Cutlass. Yeah, you know, it used to belong to the fire department. I bought her down there at the auction. Jacked that puppy right up. Stick around for an episode of The Bench after all this is over if that's your thing. Otherwise, this is TimeRider. And I'll leave the light on for you. Hey everybody, thanks for sticking around for another edition of The Bench. So I want to thank everybody for being patient with me while I was having some trouble with my voice. And I just wanted to let everybody know, you know, this channel is wee little cars, and I am not stuck with Matchbox or Hot Wheels or any other. I got a majorette that I'm going to be doing coming up. I just got a Barclay off of the internet that I'm going to be doing. And some of these are very short little restos, and they're going to be dealt with as very short little restos. But let's talk about what I got going on the bench right now. I just started working on this one, the 15C Dennis Tipax lorry. It's one that I've had for a while, and I've wanted to do it for a while. And next up after that is the 32B Jaguar E-Type, a Jaguar E-Type. This car, you can't see it in the photo here, but it has some really serious corrosion on the left rear. In fact, I think that most of the bumper is gone. So once I get into it, I may wind up doing a custom on this one and looking for another one of these castings to do as a restore. I'll figure that out when I get there. And then I also wanted to mention to everybody about the May 1st, 6 restoration guys are going to be doing a cooperative, and you were helpful in helping us decide what we're going to do. We're all going to do construction equipment. Hodges is going to do that ERM cement mixer. Max Rock Garage going to be doing a dinky dumper. Matchbox Restoration is going to be doing like a front end loader, as am I. Nick's Toy Garage is going to be doing a Dodge dump truck, and Tony's Diecast is going to be doing a welding truck. So you'll hear more about it as the month goes on. And that's it, everybody. So hopefully subscribe, click the little "we," and y'all have a good rest of whatever.